D&D Storytime. The Party's Mess. The dull drum of fingers against the armchair echoed throughout the chamber. Gently wrinkled fingers placed a silver crown on top of the worn desk. Where there usually was a peaceful scenery of the town was replaced with the familiar sight of wreckage. The town square display behind the window had become caved in with the imprint of something huge pressed into the earth. Several buildings were in rubble as the citizens circled around the wreckage, helping tired guards move large chunks of stone off what was once a library. So, the Queen sighed, massaging the knots in her temple. What exactly did you all do this time? The party awkwardly stood in their usual spots. A young dwarf with blondish hair adjusted missing chunks of chainmail that rested on his shoulders, scratching the patches of smooth skin that were missing braids of his once glorious beard. The looming half-orc studied her fresh shirt and pants, covered in dust and blood that was from her and other undistinguishable sources. The crisp silk lay dead as a corpse against her tense muscles. She wondered if she could walk through the front door without her wife noticing. A part of her brain said yes, but a sizable chunk of experience said no. So, there was a chance. Maybe. The lanky frame of a half-elf wiped off the smell of fire off their frazzled black hair. The taste of smoke and iron still lingered in their mouth. Their right eye, swollen as a murky brown eye, glanced around the party, watching the half-orc pick off dry blood off her shirt. Her wife was going to kill them for ruining her only date outfit. Behind the half-elf was a roundish giant, his face swollen, his black eyes locked on his designated spot he had carved since the first time they came to the Queen's office. A large black scorch mark splattered in the corner of the flawless wall. He kept his eyes off the crown that was displayed on the desk. His hands tangled behind his back, fully aware that they would snatch if they stared at it for too long. Again. "Well, ma'am," the dwarf said, adjusting the melted strands of hair off his cheeks. "First off, I have to say, you look exquisite today." The dry expression the Queen glanced down to her bright violet dress. "Thank you, Oleg. I had a date with my partner this evening and I wanted to dress up." "A regular date or something special?" the half-elf asked. "Our anniversary, Gillis." Gillis could feel a dagger plunge into their stomach, sharing the same hopeless look on Oleg's face as they traded expressions. "Happy anniversary," the half-orc said, looking up from her tattered clothes. Not even a smile twitched across the Queen's face. "Thank you, Margot." The half-giant smothered a laugh with a cough, dodging an elbow swung by Gillis. The awkward air spewed into the room made it harder to breathe for the party. "So, how exactly did you all destroy the town square?" the Queen asked. Again. The party traded looks at each other as they remained silent. Oleg sighed, adjusting his broken chainmail as all's eyes shifted towards him. "You see, ma'am," Oleg started, combing the missing chunks of his beard. We all went down to help Margot find something for her wife." The Queen wished she could keep her face still, but an eyebrow couldn't help but rise when she heard this. Her tired eyes glanced back at Margot, who had on a sheepish grin. "Really?" she asked. Margot nodded. "Yeah, it's her birthday today and I want to get her something special. It's why I got dressed up." "Well, you look very lovely," the Queen said, lowering her eyebrow back into place. "Tell her I said happy birthday." The grin on Margot's face grew as she nodded. Gillis gave a thumbs up to Oleg behind their back. The burning flames behind the Queen's eyes were getting smothered. "So how did searching for a birthday gift end up nearly destroying the town?" The fire had found air once more, fanning the embers into a burning flame, ready to use the party as a kindle. "Well," Gillis cut in, pulling Oleg out of the cold fire. "We went to Wallace's enchantment store to find something. You know, the store." "I know where it is," the Queen nodded, her eyes glazing over as she stared through them. "Wallace is a member of our city council." Oleg could feel a splash of sweat crash on the back of his neck. Whatever confidence left on his face had become incinerated. Margot gently patted the exposed shoulder of her friend, the innocent smile resembling her outfit. The half-giant elbowed Gillis's back as he kept his eyes on anywhere but the crown, the shine of the metal crown mocking him. "Well, Gillis said, untangling the words that ran into their throat. "That's where it all started, ma'am," Oleg tagged in. The Queen's cold, tired eyes landed on the dwarf, stabbing a dagger through his gut, a knit eyebrow slowly raised. "Really? Go on." Oleg glanced at the half-giant, who remained still, waiting for the shadows to consume and take him far away from this frozen prison. Well, while we were shopping and not paying attention, Velk stole something. The half-giant could feel the stare of being ignited across his cheeks. His eyes fixated on the burnt marks on the walls as small embers grew around the edges of the stain. Is that so, Velk? Queen's voice was only half raised as her fangs gently pressed onto his skin. Velk sighed, finally turning his face towards the Queen. His legs tightened as his instincts prepared to run. I prefer to call it a trial purchase, Velk replied flatly. Ma'am? No wave of amusement splashed across the Queen's face. Wallace's items tends to break when they're needed the most, Velk said, pointing to a bluish boot with wings carved into the side. I bought these boots from him because they're supposed to let me step on air for a period, but during a fight with the hill giant, I stepped out of the tree to get the drop on by walking over to it. I nearly fell into its mouth because the stupid thing had lost its enchantment. That's not to say Wallace's items don't have their value, Oleg cut in, adrenaline burning his neck. Velk shrugged. People can like trash, I guess. Oleg wondered why they even tried to save his party. The Queen bit back the urge to crack a smile. So I assume you and Wallace are the reason why my town is in shambles? No, Margot said. That's because of the dragon, ma'am. The knots in her temples cracked back against the Queen's skull as she let out a sigh that aged her. Oleg rubbed his eyes as the ghost of flames burned against his once glorious beard. Gillis made a face towards Margot, who merely shrugged back. Velk was the only brave soul returning the flat stare of the Queen with a smirk. The Queen wondered what happened in her past life to deserve such a fate. There should be only shock on her face, but a heavy shawl of disappointment wrapped around her shoulders. So, the Queen said, her voice tired, explain to me how a dragon got involved in all of this. Apparently the bottle of dragon's breath I wanted to test was very fresh, Velk responded. Gillis could feel their hair turn gray. Oleg pulled the last of his beard off his face. The Queen's face had turned completely into stone. And you expect me to believe that you accidentally released a dragon that happened to be in the possession of one of my highly trusted advisors? Gillis was ready to chuck themselves out the window. Velk looked at Margot. How much of the dragon did you get again, Margot? Margot pulled out a reddish-soaked leather bag that was tied around her belt. Her hand dug into the large pouch before pulling out a handful of bloody dark blue scales and one long, sharp tooth. About 3 of its teeth and another handful of scales, Margot said, peering into her bag. Hey, ma'am, do you know anyone in town that can make dragon scales and teeth into jewelry? I was thinking about using this for my wife's birthday present. The Queen thought this party couldn't stupefy them any more. And yet they somehow find a way. Our blacksmith can help you forge something that your partner would enjoy, the Queen said, bearing a polite, painful smile. Margot gave a thumbs up as she tied the pouch back around her waist. Velk shared a fist bump with her as Oleg buried his face in his hands. Gillis wondered if they should just walk into their cells and just sit out their sentence. So what happened to the dragon? The Queen asked. Since there's been no discovery of a giant body buried underneath the rubble. Wallace rebanished it after we had it on death's door, Gillis stammered, blocking up the window of their destruction as they casually scratched their brow. Ma'am. The Queen could feel the remaining peace in her soul shatter. I beg your pardon. Yep, Velk nodded. Apparently, Wallace has been using this dragon to help supply his dragon breath potion, holding it against its will for months. I'm pretty sure it shattered decades, Gillis corrected. Right, decades. It was pretty pissed about that. Oleg let out a groan as he rubbed his face deeper into his hands. It was supposed to be a quick shopping trip. How in the 9 hells did it end up destroying the whole town? The Queen let out a strained breath. Now, instead of only dealing with the cleaning up of the city, she had to deal with a member of her council extorting and imprisoning a magical creature. It was as if fate had cursed her to live a miserable life. My Queen, Gillis said, summoning some remaining charm in their throat. I have to say, you are doing a remarkable job running this town. I have heard nothing but praises about how you have dealt with. If you don't want me to send you to prison, you quit your flattery. the queen grumbled, the tips of her fingers spewing small sparks of lightning. Gillis swallowed their tongue, biting the inside of the lips to frame their smile. Margot and Velk took a step back away from their friend, all too familiar of how far her lightning can reach. The knots in her temples tangled deeper into the queen's skull as she swallowed down a violent urge. For the destruction and saving of the town, I am sentencing all of you to help clean up the mess you made. You will all have a guard at your side to make sure you will fulfill your duties. If any of you try to slip out of this, you will go to prison for a month. Velk's eyes conveniently fell to the ground to check on his boots as his party and the queen stared at him. Any questions? Margot slowly raised her hand. Can we do that tomorrow, since it's my wife's birthday and all? Oleg could feel his own set of knots forming on top of his brow. Consider it my birthday gift to her, the queen said, getting up from her desk. She continued to walk out of the room as she heard the party chat among each other. Voices of relief echoed behind the door as she entered the hallway. The knots untangled as she let out a deep sigh. One of the guards offered a sympathetic smile as the queen waved at them. Please make sure they come to help clean tomorrow, the queen said, handing her crown to the guard. The guard nodded. Have a wonderful dinner with your wife, ma'am. The queen waved goodbye as she walked down the hallway. The knots in her temples untangled themselves as she let in fresh air into her strained lungs. Soon she'd see the woman that bathed her life in a warm flame. The one who gave her peace after a long day of work. The one who saw her as beautiful and held her heart. All that she desired was to be by her side and enjoy her anniversary with her partner. Her only wish now was that her reservation she made wasn't buried in the town's rubble. Hey everybody, thank you for watching to the end of the video. If you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Ring the bell so you're notified with new cool stuff that'll be popping up in here. And I just want to say, with this becoming the end of the year and all that, I want to say thank you all for helping out with just like watching my stuff and just being really, really cool and being part of this community that we have all built together. Honestly, without you guys, I'd be nothing but just some dude just trying to tell stories, and I'm glad that my stories have reached an audience and stuff, and Yes, we have Z. Zelda says hi, by the way. Of course, we have our patron shoutouts. Let's get onto that now, shall we? Da-da-da-da! Luke Eccles, Douglas Kislook, Raven Garvin, Nix Durham, The Chill Sun, DJ M, Blue, Cass Bobble, Aaron, Zachary Lowry, Pyrus Nikos, Jackie Ann Blair, Caitlin Gullickson, Los Atten, Stephen Fawn, Adam Gollinger, Isabel Rakimoff, Faye Flower, Bobby Joe Casto, Tabitha Elizabeth Allison Tremmel, and Tanisha Kanita. So yeah, thank you guys, thank you to my patrons, and just seriously, I'll just thank you guys so much. It really means a lot as I'm recording this in the late middle of the night and stuff, but yeah, you guys are the real champs here. So yeah, I'll see you guys and I'll talk to you guys later, okay? Be kind to yourselves. Peace.